Okay, so day three of the trial just ended. It was much the same as yesterday. Uh, Really, they just kind of went document by document through the Madden report, through the list of their 20 supposed forgeries that the COPA side had to submit to the court. They've just been kind of going through those one at a time with Craig, going through the inconsistencies with him uh, within each document that's listed in the Madden report. And Craig just kind of gives a really succinct technical explanation for each of those inconsistencies. Uh, and really just like kind of just watching the body language between um, the COPA lawyer and I need to figure out what his name is. I'm sure and somehow it's eluded me checking out what the guy's name is, but the lawyer for COPA. I mean, he seems rattled. He seems nervous. People have been pointing out that he was like fiddling with a pen. Um, he's fiddling with his glasses a lot. He seems to be fidgeting a lot. Doesn't seem confident. I mean, you watch Craig. He's calm, cool, collected. He's pouring himself water all the time, having a drink, just casually chatting about things. Um, he seems quite relaxed. Um, just the vibe watching it is that he's gonna be victorious. I mean, like if things continue on this way, this is embarrassing for Copa. It's not just like he's doing a good job; he's embarrassing the other side. But there's certain claims he's making about how documents were compiled in different environments than the one that Mr. Madden had used. So I'm sure the court's going to want to verify the claims that he's been making. I'd like to see at some point in the trial, I guess, some effort to actually verify the claims that he's made. They might actually try to reproduce the environment Craig was working in to see if things will compile the way that they say, or rather, Craig says it should. Um, it's really interesting to hear all the explanations from Craig as to why these documents have these inconsistencies, explaining how he authored the white paper in LaTeX. Yeah, he's doing a really convincing job so far, I think. Um, just reading the body language of everyone in the court, he's dominating right now. He's just kind of putting the COPA lawyers in their place. And yeah, it's impressive to watch. Um, he's like a professor teaching a lesson, really, in the courtroom. That's kind of just what it looks like. He really has taken them to school. And I mean, like I said before, the COPA lawyers, they're not capable of arguing the technical points with Craig. They can just rely on the Madden report. So we're going to have to see Madden and Craig's team have some sort of showdown on these documents. I feel like it's almost a waste of the court's time uh, to do it this way. Like Greg obviously has a technical explanation that he's going to need to go through with a technical expert, not with a lawyer. I understand that they need to air it all out in court. Um, but I mean, it's been very repetitive. It's just one article after the other. He introduces the article. He asks Craig if he's familiar with it. He asks him about the inconsistencies in that article or in that document, and then after he gets Craig's answer, he says, "Oh, so it's forgery then." Like it's very reminiscent of that Jordan Peterson interview. I made a meme of it already, but that Jordan Peterson interview where he says one thing and the lady pretty much accuses him of saying something completely contrary to what he just said. So he's like, "No, it's not a forgery," because then he gives a very succinct technical explanation for how it's not a forgery, but the inconsistencies that exist for some other technical reason. And then, oh, so it's a forgery then. So you're saying it's a forgery. We're just going to conclude like the reasonable assumption here is that it's a forgery. And it just repeated like that the whole day. Um, and it almost seems like the COPA side, they've sort of been relying on this Madden report. And just watching this trial, it sort of seems like the Madden report is almost reminiscent of the Steele dossier that they ran against Trump. Like, they've sold this report as this damning report that proves Craig is a fraud, but it's really looking like this Madden report is really weak, like very weak. I mean, if the things that Craig is saying are true, Craig's team are saying, yeah, it's a really, really weak report, just based on Craig's responses to what's wrong with the Madden report. There's some serious flaws, and again, he's making very specific claims about these documents, about how to verify the way that they compile. So I mean, it all just has to be tested. I mean, he's giving them instructions in the courtroom as to how to verify what he's done. So I mean, at some point in this trial, they're going to verify it. Someone's going to try to verify it. I'm sure both sides have some way of verifying it. I mean, Craig's side is probably ready to verify it, I would think. I mean, he spent a lot of money to bring this case forward. So yeah, this case is brought against him. He's the defendant here, but uh, like, to put forward all these legal fees and just to have to deal with this and have all his countersuits, like, I'd imagine he's prepared to show that the things he's saying work do. And because if they don't, I mean, it's just going to put him in an awkward place. And why would you even play that defense unless you're ready to do it? So, I mean, if he demonstrates that these things work in court the way that he says they do, this is going to look really bad for COPA. Like, their whole thing, their whole defense is dependent on this Madden report, and the inconsistencies found in that Madden report being pretty much enough to prove that Craig is a serial forger, as they allege. Right now, it's not looking that way. And like I said, I am biased towards Craig, but like, it's just in the body language. I wish we could show footage from the court. It's prohibited for us to do that, so I can't. But yeah, I mean, anyone watching it, it's one sided. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just completely one sided. It's like a kid arguing with like a university professor who is just running circles around him, like yeah. We need to get on past this part of the trial and allow the experts to argue with other experts instead of allowing lawyers to argue with Craig, because they can't.